Somehow it has become a common belief that scoliosis is a disease and that there's no way to fix it. As someone who's lived with scoliosis and kyphosis for 25 years, I think that is one of the most stupidest beliefs that we have. 80% of scoliosis cases are idiopathic. Idio meaning unknown, pathic meaning origin. So they do not know where scoliosis comes from. In my experience, it comes from a lot of different places, sometimes a combination of things, psychologically, physically, emotionally, environmentally, genetically. There's always a different cause for the posture to be compromised. We do know that the ideal structure of our spine has been compromised in some way. There's an imbalance which has created a collapse, essentially. The body and the posture is slowly collapsing. Now, during the collapse, the body is always looking to level itself using its eyes or proprioception. It's always looking for a way to level itself. And in my case and many other cases, our body creates a natural brace to prevent further collapse. That's why many people with kyphosis and scoliosis have very tight lower back and psoas muscle groups, hip flexors, the hamstrings. They all overly tighten to hold on, to brace naturally the collapsing posture. In my case, these compensations that were happening in my body ended up almost choking me out. The hip flexors are adjacent to the digestive system and lymphatic system. So when those muscles became tight and compressed, I couldn't function and my life force started shutting down. Right now I'm activating what's called a hip hinge with the postural pyramid. I am feeling the weight in my heels. I am activating my glutes, the biggest muscles in our bodies that should be doing the work. I am engaging my lower abdominal core to push the front of my pelvis down as I attempt to open up the mid-thoracic of my back, breathe into the back of my diaphragm, and feel the elongation through the back of the head. This is a great go-to posture reset move you can do anywhere. In fitness, you might have heard before anterior chain and posterior chain. It's referring to like the chain of muscles that go along the front and the back of your body. Well, recently, over the past 10 years, we've identified that there's fascial chains of muscle and fascia that work together throughout the body. And they're not just along the front and the back. There are spiral lines that go up our legs and crisscross along our torso, along our arms, as well as wrap around our head, all the way from our toes to our tongue. These fascial lines are not only communication and extension of the nervous system, but also they create tensegrity, just like tent poles hold up a tent or the pillars hold up a suspension bridge. And if we have imbalances in our posture and our body has created tension and an imbalanced compensating structure to hold us up, to prevent us from falling, the way that we can realign these fascial bands is by feeling and sensing through them as we move. Feet are a sensory organ. What you're seeing me do here is observe and feel and sense the weight that I feel from my heels through my body. The same way we do foam rolling to kind of push our body back into alignment, I think by putting weight along these myofascial lines that create tensegrity in our body, we're able to redefine alignment. We're able to bring back alignment into the body. We also have pressure sensors in our hands. I've been practicing taking weight more towards my fingers, which I have a natural restriction to because of the imbalances, but I'm practicing that as I move towards a handstand. This is a lighter day of movement for me, so I'm just kind of feeling around, looking for any tightness or restrictions. This one is called a superhero sky punch. Feel the weight in your feet as you furl up, as you coil up your hands and your arms, and really you're wringing yourself out like a towel through the myofascial spiral lines. Again, feel the weight in your foot, curl up the fingers, the hands, the elbows, the arms as you step forward and extend and elongate and punch the sky with force. I want you to feel a wave of tension rippling up your body. Now, I'm not against hanging. I do think it is a good thing to do. It creates immediate decompression. and alignment. But when you get that decompression and alignment, you must be able to hold that and build strength in that new decompressed state. Otherwise, you'll just return to the older position. Use decompression as a tool and an aid, but the work, the new posture, is about being able to hold and maintain the stamina of that position. Without that, you just end up developing hypermobility, flaccid, unstable control in your body. So instead of thinking about just stretching or just decompressing, I think about how can I activate strength through that range of movement, through that decompressed state. How can I feel trust and strength and stability in that area? Same thing here, is feeling some tightness in the psoas and the hips, and I just took this opportunity to be able to create elongation through that area as well as challenge it with one leg at a time here, keeping the pelvis stable as well as requiring the psoas to really get to work here. I don't do too many back bends like you see me doing here. It would create too much lordosis if I were to really push that. But I do feel things out. I just don't overdo it. My goal is to move with strength and stability through normal and functional ranges of movement, as opposed to trying to stretch and develop, new, bizarre, or impressive kind of ranges of movement, which often require sacrificing stability. Instead of building strength from a flat bench, I prefer to use movements where my back and spine has complete freedom to adapt as it needs to be able to pull off the movement. I get a lot of funny comments from strength and conditioning coaches who don't really have to worry about other things that I'm dealing with, and they're just like, just lift weights, bro. And it's like, to get there, before I even consider building strength and cementing in a certain type of posture, essentially, as the muscular structure kind of tightens and strengthens around my body, I want to unravel, I want to align, and then I'll look at fortifying. And I would suggest anyone who has scoliosis or kyphosis, they need to do the same thing. They need to learn how to unravel, how to let go. We often have a lot of compensations and tightness as we've attempted to hide our posture or try to stand up using the incorrect muscles that we actually need to activate to stand our tallest and proudest. Inside the dojo and the Hype Maximus protocol, I have a castle breath, which allows you to do this, to fully exhale and rebuild your body on top of your breath before you go about activating the muscles and the compensations that you might be operating on. This is all a process of re-educating the body, teaching it that there are things that we can do to fix our posture. And the very first step is learning to let go of our old one. My T10 vertebrae is a wedge. The vertebrae above and below it are pretty much fused in place, very difficult to move, and you'll see very little mobilization as I collapse there. But despite that, despite having a rigid fusion of vertebrae through the middle of my spine, you'll see that I've not allowed that to prevent me from learning how I can work with that, how I can stand taller with that, how I can create mobility above and below that, and even potentially one day, after many years of persistence and patience, an increased alignment throughout that area. The spine, the bones, the spinal cord, it's all a living organism, and with persistence and patience, I think we can do incredible things. But it must be believed in the mind, and that's why the belief that there's nothing that we can do about it, spending a year, spending a decade, spending a lifetime thinking that we can't do anything about it, creates a depression, a collapse, a helplessness in the body, which is incredibly damaging and creates a lot of work that needs to be done at some point in the future, or face the pain of not dealing with it. Yes, it is an uphill battle. It is constantly swimming upstream, Gravity does not stop, but I do promise you it is one of the most rewarding journeys to understand deeply within how our body is sensing pressure, breath, relaxation, tension, all of these things that are within our control, things that we can do something about. I invite you to the Posture Dojo. You can scan or screenshot this QR code on the screen. I'd like to share this journey with you and share everything that works.